We collectively have agreed on 18 for most things.
Right.
I think that that's too young. And actually on my list for like the beginning part of the interview where we were focused on you a lot was ethics around consent and age, because I find it troubling that we now think that the brain and the frontal lobe's not done till 30, right? 30.
Yeah.
And we're living a lot longer. Health span, lifespan, all of those things are increasing. So if we know, I shouldn't say no. If we believe now that it's not till 30, should we go back and revisit certain things? Because entering the adult industry at 18, I think is abominable. I don't think that should happen. That shouldn't be a possibility. I've been a very vocal advocate of raising the age to at least 21. I think 25 would probably be a lot better, especially because it's permanent and you don't own the content, and the social fallout from that decision is immense. It's unimaginable until you actually go through it. And there's no way that you can weigh all of the pros and cons properly at that age. I know I didn't, and I got in at 21. Right. So there's that. I was also on Lupron for a while, which is actually one of the drugs that they give to castrate the boys during transition, I guess. So it's also used for prostate cancer treatment. I didn't know any of this. So this was for my endometriosis. It was debilitating. I couldn't get out of bed, constantly achy joints. My hair was a mess. I would be so bloated. I'd look pregnant, and I was teeny tiny. I weighed probably 100 pounds at the time. So it was 100% affecting my life. So they're like, well, there's this new clinical trial for this drug called Lupron. It's approved. It's been on the market forever. We use it for men all the time. They didn't tell me it was chemotherapy, essentially, for men. Jesus. They didn't tell me any of the potential side effects, which include early onset osteoporosis. They told me I would be in a synthetic menopause. It's not. It's menopause. What? So at 19 years old, I was in menopause for a year. They ship you the medicine, and it comes with this big yellow sign that you put on the door because you have to like return it, and they resend you your refills. And it says, because it has to be refrigerated. So what was happening is the delivery man would have to wait, you'd have to sign and put it in the fridge. You put this sign on your door that says, I might be so sick I can't come answer the door. Please leave the medicine.
Whoa.
They don't tell you that, and they just start injecting you in the ass with this stuff. And I would have a shot and I would be out of commission for a day. Just like my whole body just felt exhausted. And eventually I got off it. Messed up my hips. Like my, like the bone density in my hips aren't the same anymore. And that's at 19. And so yes, quote adult, but I didn't understand, nor did I understand what conscious consent really was, right? It is benefits, alternatives, and risks. Okay. I wasn't given any of those things, just the potential benefits. And when you're that sick, you'll take whatever you can get. So yeah, at the age is a complicated thing, and it's probably not going to be well received, but I would say at least 21, and then also subject to approval, because just like breast implants in the States, there's only a size that you can go. It caps.
Okay,
so when
I didn't know this.
Yes, so if you go and you see these women that have insane to where, and this isn't even exaggerated, like out to here,
right?
And the skin looks almost transparent.
Right.
They went to South America for that because we don't allow that. So it's also recognizing that there's probably a mental illness to some aspect of this, and then is this going to have more benefit to this person, or am I adding unnecessary harm? So in the States, we say we won't do breast implants that large because it's unsafe, and there's obviously some kind of body dysmorphia happening if you're requesting it. So it's not even an age thing, because you could be 30 and request that, they're going to say no. So I think age is one element, but then also there needs to be a really thorough mental exam where you have someone that gives you an actual diagnosis of gender dysphoria, not something else that might, like autism, that might be looking similar because you've obsessed on gender, which Abigail Schreier's work highlights. So yes, age needs to be raised, in my opinion, but also there's these other elements that need to be finely examined before you say yes, because you lose your ability to climax. How important is that for a relationship? It's immense, which is why when sex starts to fall off, you see divorce, you see isolation. It's not good for a relationship. It's not good for like being a fully alive person. Right. Can't have kids. That's huge. And then we don't know the long-term consequences of these high dose hormones. We think that it can increase things like brain cancer. I mean, That's a really big risk. So again, it's so many elements. I think, yes, start with raising the age, at least 18, I would say 21. And then also the requirement of a thorough examination, and probably a lot more that I'm not thinking of.
Well, we've seen that. We see that 18 is this age that we've all agreed on, but we've also seen what happens when you give 18-year-olds decision-making powers, like going to war.
That was on my list. Like, is that ethical? Is it ethical to market to teenagers? Because if they sign up at 18, they've been looking since they were 17 or 16, and potentially earlier if they're a military family. So is it ethical to market to an 18-year-old, especially when you romanticize and glamorize the art of war? You see
the video games.
Right, the video games, and then like these badass men running through like with a dinghy, and they're going through the waves, and they've got the face paint, and they look like absolute heroes. And it's not to say that that's not important, it's not necessary, but it's like how much of it are you giving them conscious consent, and how much of it are you trying to kind of romanticize the deal to where they don't know the risks that they're really signing up for?
Well, I would 100% agree with you. And that's going to be, no one's going to love that. But here's the harsh reality. When I deployed, we had some 17-year-olds. These are parents who then signed their forms for these children to go. So no, I think that needs to be raised as well. But you do have that issue, right, where and this happens in the United States. This is not something that happens in Canada. And some people will argue, well, no, it doesn't, but we know it does. Recruiters will go to high schools and stand in parking lots. They will go to malls where teenagers are. They will go these places that children who are desperately looking for a community, and they will come in and they will, in my opinion, prey on them and tell them stories of glory and war and amazing things, when the harsh reality is it's just not that. And that's what I said on trigonometry. Everyone's like, well, you signed up, you should know what you got into. I was not a military family. I did not watch the commercials. I did not know anything. I met a lady on a bus and went to war. Like, there is that reality that does happen. So no, some people don't know what they're getting themselves into. So I think 18's too young. I think 18's too young for a lot of things. We give 18-year-olds voting rights. We let 18-year-olds drink in Canada.
Get an immense amount of student debt that they can't get rid of.
That they can never get rid of. And that, to me, is what, it's almost like they're setting younger generations up to fail in a little bit by not being responsible enough, the grown adults in the room, to say, we know we're adults now, where our brains really started to develop. We know what the repercussions are if we vote incorrectly, we do these things wrong, but we give these people this immense power.